Chapter 1. And so it begins. After a lifetime of soul searching and seeking the truth on why we all exist, I had to take time to block out distractions and focus on God. There was a time I was confused about the correct spiritual path to take. I studied Buddhism, Catholicism, Hinduism, Islam, New Ageism, the occult, and Scientology. I always knew about Jesus, but I didn't have a real relationship with him. Since I didn't know God, the devil could have his way with me. Weirdly, people believe in angels in heaven, but never seem to entertain the idea of demons in hell. I was one of those individuals, but it just all started to click at some point. It became apparent that nothing in the entertainment industry was positive or encouraging. It all seemed to be negative. I was conscious that video games were all about violence, death, and killing. All the movies had the same agenda, promoting fornication, homosexuality, transhumanism, and more. I remember thinking that this can't be life. This can't be real. I needed to find the source of purity, righteousness, and truth, and completely immerse myself in it. I needed to be cleansed of this filth and created anew. I needed to redesign my destiny. I never met my birth mother because my parents split up before I could walk or talk. In the 80s, my father moved from Miami, Florida to Zanesville, Ohio, and my mother became a mystery. My life's beginnings were a blur, and I don't remember much, except that I was bounced around from house to house to be babysat by different people. I thought I was an only child until one day, when I was about 4 years old, my father had a 6-year-old girl with him. He said she was my sister. She didn't speak English at that time. My father was an immigrant from Chiapas, Mexico, and met my mother in Mexico City. They were both runaways. My father ran away because of a bad relationship with his stepmother, and my mother said she ran away because her mother's boyfriend was molesting her. My parents met on the bus, fell in love, and 9 months later, a baby girl was born. Upon this discovery, my grandmother wanted my mother to return home and end a relationship with my father. However, my father objected to that idea. They were parents now, and at some point, they got married in Mexico. I do not know whether it was before my mother's pregnancy or after. What I do know is that my parents separated after the birth of my sister. My mother and father reconnected in Miami, Florida, a year or so later. My father told me he got my mother's location from letters she was mailing him, so he decided to leave Mexico and surprise her right around her birthday. My father's unexpected visit upset my grandmother on my mother's side, who, at this point, grew a strong disliking towards him. My father didn't care. He loved my mother. They were married, and they had a daughter. It didn't take long for my mother to become pregnant again, this time with me. Once my grandmother found out my mother was pregnant, she demanded an abortion. Ironically, by a strange turn of events, when my grandmother took my mother to the hospital to inquire about my abortion, my grandmother